You're watching the news summary on Kazakh TV. I'm Shana Sagandikova, and today we'll review the major news of this week from Kazakhstan. President Nursultan Nazarbayev has examined the Universiade facilities in Almaty. The president gave a visit to the Almaty Ice Arena, which will host the opening and closing ceremonies, as well as the figure skating and curling competitions.
3 new facilities are to be operational for the 28th World Winter Universiade in Almaty next year. Among them are the Ice Palace, Arena, and Athletic Village. Contractors promise to complete the construction until August 30. Competitions will be held in 12 events. 35 countries have already confirmed their participation so far. 55 in total were expected. Almost half of the materials used in the construction were manufactured in Kazakhstan. This was also a part of the anti-crisis measures and the multiplier effect in the form of support to domestic companies. According to economists' estimates, part of the costs should be repaid during the Games. After the completion of the Universiade, sport facilities will not stand idle. For example, the Athletic Village will house citizens under the Affordable Housing Program.
В рамках Universiade.
Several new facilities will be commissioned before the Universiade. I have already inspected some of them. These facilities are unique for Almaty. The city has never had such facilities in history. Now the athletes are actively preparing for the Universiade. We hope Kazakhstan's athletes will achieve good results. The new facilities are located outside the city's center. At present, some infrastructure is under construction. However, the Almaty district could be well populated in the future. In general, all conditions for the development of Almaty have been provided. President Nazarbayev stressed that it is important to develop the economic capacity and technology. All scientific discoveries, new technologies, are usually created in large metropolitan areas. This practice was observed around the world. Therefore, I attach great importance to the creation of large cities with population over 1 million in Kazakhstan. Almaty is the first million-people city. Astana has almost reached that number. About 1 million people live in Shymkent and Aktobe. Other cities are trying to reach that number too, so that we would have 4 or 5 large cities with a population of 1 million people. That's when science and technology will be developed at the necessary level. We pay particular attention to foreign investments as you instructed. We monitor all projects altogether. 10 of 150 projects will be implemented in Almaty with the help of foreign investors. This year, 2 transnational companies will launch a number of factories despite the crisis. The president knows firsthand what Almaty residents are worried about: the ecology, housing, and communal services, shortage of parking spots, and contamination of irrigation systems. To make the city free from exhaust fumes, it is needed to develop actively the public transport system and improve the level of service. But innovations must be introduced properly, President Nazarbayev warned. We must continue to develop public transportation and improve the level of service. You spoke about the electronic ticket system, ONAI, but there are also problems like lack of understanding. Therefore, not all innovations are good. If we introduce something, then we must introduce it properly. It must be clear for the people to avoid the negative attitude. The city is getting ready for a huge influx of tourists during the Universiade. In the meantime, the Almaty airport can barely cope with the current volume of passengers. There are only 4 ramps that can handle 5 million passengers. We have heard about the Kapchiga resorts for years, but nothing was done there. First, we need to calculate how much time it takes for a person to get there from the airport. Mr. Sekeshev, consult with the shareholders, make a concrete plan with the residents, and do it quickly. If there is something that needs to be done inside the terminals, then do it. We need the airport to be ready to serve a big number of people. Now about the construction of cottages in the mountains. In this respect, the president has a tough stance in order to demolish all illegally constructed buildings.
Я аккумулировал большие средства, привлек инвесторов, построили канатную дорогу Медео.
We built the cable cars, Medeo, in order to reduce cars next to the ice rink. Look at what is happening. What a mess. We have built the cable cars so that people would not drive there, preserve the ecology of Shimbulak. The top management probably gets car passes. I have prohibited the construction of houses on Shimbulak, but they continue to do it. It's a violation of the law. Who does that with bulldozers? No one is responsible for that, I'm telling you.
И проезжает. Я запретил строить коттеджи на Чембулаке.
However, businessmen continue construction works violating the environmental regulations. Even potential threats like natural disasters do not stop them.
Потихоньку я смотрю и ездил вчера.
I went to Shimbulak yesterday and saw that they continue their construction. There is the law that says there should not be any structures along the mountain rivers, especially in Almaty.
Алматы, под горными речки вообще не должно быть.
The head of state also visited Kazakhstan's largest hypermarket, Carrefour, that just opened. It is located in a densely populated area in Almaty. More than 500 Kazakh companies deliver their products there. 130 suppliers are from Almaty and the Almaty region. In the near future, 9 more such hypermarket branches and 20 supermarkets will open in the country. Nursultan Nazarbayev could not resist the shopping trip and mostly chose food produced in Kazakhstan.
The project of a new 16,000 square meter mosque was presented to the president in Almaty. The mosque will have several minarets that will stand at 75 meters in height. The main building will 9 cupolas will be located in the center. The mosque will be built between several residential areas with projected capacity up to 7,000 visitors. The mosque will feature a library, an administrative block, madrasas, as well as workshops and shops. The head of state looked through the project and also spoke to representatives of religious denominations.
Beautiful palaces have been built for the Universiade in the Almaty district. Have you seen it? There are magnificent buildings. That mosque will be placed here as well. I think that in the future the mayor's office will also move here. We need to clean this place up. What would have happened to this city if it was a capital? There would have been terrible traffic jams.
The government is planning to review a draft law to clarify the national budget for this year, Finance Minister Bakit Sultanov stated. He noted that 340 billion tenge has been provided for the implementation of the anti-crisis measures in the revised budget. 240 billion out of that amount is the transfer from the National Fund, and 124 billion tenge is the redistribution of the special reserve. The funds in the approved budget were allocated for the implementation of the state programs, such as the employment roadmap, business roadmap, as well as to cover costs in the agricultural sector and compensation of the housing construction savings bank deposits.
The government is working on anti-crisis measures voiced in the Accorda. First of all, the cabinet intends to start the large-scale projects. The country is planning to dramatically increase the volume of housing construction credit and rentals. Minister of National Economy Joly said 360 billion tenge is planned to be allocated in the budget for the construction of residential houses.
При плане ввода жилья на 2016 год
1.5 million square meters or over 29,400 flats will be commissioned in 2016 and 540,000 square meters next year with the housing construction plan for 2016. This will ensure the contribution to GDP at the level of 0.5% and create 70,000 new jobs.
70 тысяч дополнительных рабочих мест.
Also, the maximum value of the property was determined. One residential square meter will not exceed 200,000 tenge in Astana and Almaty, and in other regions that number was set at 180,000 tenge. In addition, nearly 28 billion will be spent on the construction of 42 schools to eliminate damaged buildings and 3-shift training. In addition, the money will be used to accelerate the construction of both Expo and Universiade objects.
Для своевременной реализации
For the timely implementation of these projects, we are planning to allocate 194.5 billion tenge, formed only due to the exchange rate differences by means of the National Fund, which had been planned for the implementation of the Joly program in 2016. In addition, 1.4 trillion tenge will be utilized from the single accumulative pension fund. 350 billion will cover the deficit in the national budget in 2016. 500 billion will be converted into foreign currency to invest in foreign markets, and 600 billion will be spent to buy bonds of commercial banks and national holdings. The Minister of Finance explained how to ensure the safety of pension savings for the Kazakh citizens.
Это стандартное размещение пенсионных накоплений в...
This is a standard placement of pension savings and bonds of national companies and banks. The market-based rate will be fully applied. It should cover the market inflation rate because the task that the pension fund is facing is the safety of people's savings and their increase through investment income through the exceeding inflation.
Some 85 billion tenge will be allocated from the budget for completion of the Expo construction, Minister of National Economy Joly said. Expo exhibition participants will be eligible for additional benefits. The senators discussed privileges that might create favorable conditions for holding the Expo. All participants will be exempted from customs duties and taxes under the special agreement. They will receive privileged Kazakh visas and placement in educational institutions for their children. Foreign driving license will also be valid, and in addition, vehicles could be imported from abroad or purchased in Kazakhstan. A specially designated center will handle the paperwork in a few minutes and offer its services to the guests and visitors. So far, 48 countries and organizations have already applied for participation.
Это получается освобождение всех налогов.
They will be exempted from customs duties and taxes. They will not pay for visa and consular fees. We also created all the conditions for the members of their families.
А также мы учли и членов семьи.
Despite the difficult economic situation, Kazakhstan will continue sending students abroad. This year, the government will allocate 19 billion tenge to finance the Bolshak program, according to the president of the Center for International Programs, Kanin Igmetov.
According to him, it is planned to award about 700 scholarships this year, which is almost 100 more than a year before. In addition, new changes to the Bolshak program are aimed at improving the quality of the scholarship and will be enacted this year. The Center for International Programs revised the list of foreign universities for applicants. The new list includes the world's top 100 universities. In addition, requirements have been increased for the English language proficiency, the average score of the diploma, and applicants' work experience. The composition of an independent expert committee, which conducts interviews with applicants, has been expanded significantly. Now it includes representatives of the NCE, Kazenergy, as well as scientists from the Nazarbayev University.
Среди выпускников Болашах сегодня 4 вице-министра, 5 акимов городов, 3...
Today there are 4 vice ministers, 5 mayors, 3 deputies of regional governors, 81 heads of state organizations and enterprises, 106 first leaders, chairmen of national companies and banks among Bolshak graduates. Now the overall employment rate is 99.4%, and the average salary of Bolshak scholars in the country is more than 400,000 tenge.
Цифры 99,4%.
Over 11,000 students received scholarships since the Bolshak program was launched. Currently, almost 1,500 Kazakh students are studying abroad.
The Central Election Commission has determined the order of political parties on voting ballots. The draw was attended by representatives of all political parties which had nominated their party lists. The Nursultan Party will be the first on the list, the Communist People's Party of Kazakhstan is the second, and the third will be the Joly Party, followed by Birlik. The nationwide Social Democratic Party will be fifth, and the AOL Party last on the list. The National Chamber of Entrepreneurs at Almaty started accepted applications for participation in the national contests Altyn Sapa and Best Product of Kazakhstan. According to the organizers, the basic rules of the competition will remain the same, but a roster of experts will be created to improve the quality of assessment. Special eligibility requirements will be developed in order to determine who will join them. In addition, a part of procedures including filling of applications, competitive document submitting and evaluation of experts will be carried out in online mode next year. This will improve the quality and efficiency of processing of all competition data, according to the representatives of the National Chamber of Entrepreneurs. The winner of the enterprises headed by women will be announced on March 8th, and they will be marked by the sign recommended by Expo. They will receive support in the promotion of their goods at the World Exhibition.
Делаем еще раз отбор среди заявок, которые были в прошлом году, и победителей прошлого года.
Again, we make selection among the applications that have been in the last year, among the winners and participants in general. We need to oversee the production which tomorrow might be needed to supply the Expo. Shopping malls, hotels, and restaurants will operate on the territory of Expo. And of course, those companies that can deliver food can be supported here.
Предприятия, которые могли бы поставить продовольственную группу, промышленную группу.
Another industrial zone for small and medium-sized businesses will appear in the South Kazakhstan region. Approximately 40 hectares were allocated for the zone in the Kazakh area.
The fast food production plant will start working on the territory of the industrial zone this coming spring. 2 manufacturers of building materials will be launched by the end of the year. These are projects of domestic investors. It is planned that about 500 people will work industrial zone. Many of them are already trained under the program Employment Roadmap 2020.
Здесь уже вся проведена вся инфраструктура.
All the infrastructure have already been completed: gas, electricity, and roads. The companies take the land with already finished infrastructure. In the future, we also will have projects like the production of furniture, organic fertilizers, and construction foam.
При проекта это мебели, производство мебели, органических удобрений.
The total area of the Sarishagan, an area leased by Russian military, can be reduced. Senate's committee reviewed the agreement between Kazakhstan and Russia on the new relevant conditions of the site. According to the Deputy Minister of Defense, Akaz Saparov, Kazakhstan intends to withdraw some areas with the agreement and is ready to adjust the amount of the lease paid by Russia, which was about $24 million per year. The Sarishagan military training site is located on the territory of the Karaganda and Zhambel regions. Russia has been leasing it since the 90s.
These are sections where the railway Zhezkaz-Ganbeyneo and the road Shymkent-Samara cross our country. In addition, we found minerals in the Jaman-Aybat of the Karaganda region. Now we will withdraw these lands from the lease in favor of our state for economic development. We will receive approximately $2.2 million less this year.
The industrial and innovative cooperation between Kazakhstan and China will create 19,000 new jobs. The two countries agreed to implement 52 projects worth over $24 billion for now.
According to Chairman of Kazakh Invest, Boris B. Zhangurazov, projects are planned in the field of agro-industrial complex, chemical industry, mechanical engineering, and metallurgy. The Silk Road Foundation was created especially for the financing of the joint Kazakh-Chinese program. It is planned that the total capital of the fund will be $2 billion. The fund was created by China's Central Bank branch, Silk Road Fund, and Kazakh Invest. Under this agreement, Kazakh Invest will search and implement preliminary structuring of projects and will continue to defend these projects, but the Chinese side will make the final decision on financing. The extensive work is being done by the state to attract investment of large transnational companies. Thus, 5 projects will be implemented with their participation this year. Moreover, the investment committee notes the rising trend for reinvestment as foreign investors are increasingly investing in new projects in Kazakhstan again.
Анализ показал, что свыше 60% прямых иностранных инвестиций.
The analysis showed that more than 60% of foreign direct investments which come into the country are in fact reinvestments of existing investors that open new enterprises. We are currently working on 40 such initiatives. 6 of these projects were created in 2015. They are such companies as Danone, Lotte Group, BTM, Galaxy, Coca-Cola, which launched a new production. We expect 8 new productions in 2016.
Таких производств тоже будет появиться.
Crisis could have advantages in some sectors. For instance, it could spur interest in local resorts that could attract foreign travelers due to affordable prices, and that would like to bask under the Kazakhstan sun.
Kazakhstan has its own Courchevel in the vicinity of Ust-Kamenogorsk, unique ski trails, modern infrastructure, and affordable prices. The flow of tourists is constant until the first thawing. European-style cottages are being built around the ski resort. More than 1.5 billion tenge has been already invested in the project. But businessmen believe that investments will yield in full. All in all, the mountain resort attracts up to 35,000 skiers and snowboarders every year.
Мы создали очень мощный курортный городок, лыжная база.
We created a modern ski resort with houses. People come here from Africa, France, Korea and Russia, the houses are comfortable with all utilities.
Скажем так, хорошие домики, уютные.
But the foreign visitors cannot be pleased by nature only. Nanda Kumar arrived in Kazakhstan from India seeking something more. He heard about the new ethno-cultural project but did not expect such diversity when he arrived.
Assalamu alaikum. Namaste.
One can cook Kazakh zhent, make Kazakh national musical instrument saz surnai, and try national food. This tourist project is unique, at least because you don't often see Indian people whipping mare's milk. And in the summer, you can assemble your own yurt. The image of the nomadic Kazakhs is gaining popularity. Australians, Germans, and Russians have already applied for this program. Tourism needs unique products and good service, something special that cannot be found anywhere. Fortunately, our rich culture, our rich heritage allows you to do it. We as entrepreneurs need to be proactive as well as think unconventionally. This is Kulan settlement in the Jambal region. Archaeologists have discovered the ancient city in the 80s, but the excavations works started last year. The buildings are constructed of bricks with carved ornament. The object is included in the list of UNESCO World Heritage. Excavation and restoration is not yet completed, and the settlement was announced as an open-air museum, and that means tourists will be welcomed here very soon. We welcomed 70,270 tourists in the Jambal region within 9 months in 2015, and we are observing a positive trend here. We also expect a bigger flow of tourists from Europe and other Western countries who are interested in the eco-tourism and want to visit the site. The number of locals preferring domestic resorts grows from year to year. Domestic recreational resorts welcomed nearly 2.5 million people last year, and this figure excludes foreign travelers. They started visiting Kazakhstan more often. According to the Ministry of Investments and Development, foreign visitors' flow grew by 30% and makes up over 500,000 people, and it means that there's room for improvement for the Kazakh tourism sector.
The Union of Kazakh Youth, with the support of the Embassy of Kazakhstan in Russia, held a literary and musical event in Moscow in honor of the 170th anniversary of outstanding Kazakh poet Zhambyl Jabayev. Jabayev's best music and heartfelt poems were performed at the Moscow House of Nationalities. Jabayev was master of musical improvisation and composed poems about local national heroes and about the life of Kazakhs. During the World War II, his fairy poems inspired soldiers, and his songs were memorized by many.
Zhambyl Jabayev – это такая удивительная личность.
Zhambyl Jabayev was such a wonderful person in the history of the Soviet Union and in the history of Kazakhstan. His talent, his gift, his openness, his wisdom and optimism, his good understanding of all the complexities of time demonstrated the best qualities of his people that were dear to every Kazakh, every Russian, and every person.
Влюбленного сединой человека, мудрого.
Он, собственно, зажигал сердца людей.
Zhambyl Jabayev at that time was a speaking roster of the war, and he represented and lit the hearts of people both in the besieged Leningrad and Stalingrad at that time. Residents of Volgograd are still proud of that period and remember his works, which inspired them to do the acts of heroism which liberated them eventually.
The Astana Opera State Symphony Orchestra toured to St. Petersburg, where musicians were praised by the critics and audience. They performed the Steppe Legend under the dome of the Mariinsky Theater.
The peak of many hours rehearsals, the audience greets the performance of Kazakh musicians with pauses from the first chords. Suit from the ballet Steppe Legend opens the performance. It is understandable. Orchestral works of Ples Kashgaliev have been already included in the anthology of the Kazakh musical culture and repertoire of different teams in the world.
Мне кажется, что это произведение заслуживает того, чтобы быть одной из визитных карточек.
I think this composition deserves to be the hallmark of the current state of classical music and national musical literature of our Kazakh friends. I think if I were head of the theater, I would choreograph a ballet on this composition. It would be one-act ballet. I think the music is set in that way. I would highly recommend doing so, since a performance lives for decades if it was put on successfully and sometimes for centuries.
Он живет десятилетиями, если он удачно создан, десятилетиями, а иногда и столетиями.
Былтыр біз Америкада Карнеги холлда
We have performed in many countries and on different stages, but the atmosphere in the Mariinsky Theater itself was unique. This is a holy place for musicians because Tchaikovsky conducted performances here himself. The program also included a classic violin concerto in D minor of Jean Sibelius and the music from the ballet Romeo and Juliet by Sergei Prokofiev. Maestro Valery Gergiev took conductor's stand in the second part.
Во-первых, они выступают в Петербурге в уникальном зале. В этом зале уникальная акустика.
First, they perform in St. Petersburg in the unique hall. This hall has unique acoustics, and the fact that Valery Gergiev will be at the conductor's stand is quite serious and meaningful. I'm here to enjoy. I have been cooperating with Kazakhstan for 13 years as an opera director, and I'm very happy for their success. I think coming here is a great success. This is the second performance of the Symphony Orchestra in St. Petersburg. In March 2014, the troupe performed at the old and the new stages of Mariinsky Theater. It was completely sold out.
These were the main news for the past week on Kazakh TV. You're watching the news summary from Kazakhstan, my home country. I'm Joly Sagandikova. I'll see you later. Have a good and productive week. Goodbye.